everyone, welcome back. It's Endoralis here as your third place ARG topper. I would like to tell you all about how I made my deck. Now, this idea came from one of my good followers named Zalos Wilder. And they said, hey, why don't you make a video deciding how you went around your deck building? So I was like, hey, no problem, might as well do it. So we'll go through the process, and the process I normally go through is usually it's a step-by-step process. So normally, step one is determining what I want the deck to be. So that can be anything. If you want to be based on theme, if you want to be based on a particular mechanic or a ruler, if you just want to be based on a combo, no matter what or a type, you do that. So either it'll be a theme. So something like with me, I was like, hey, Sun Wukong's a myth and his resonators are a myth. So let's go with myths. Myths seem pretty cool around now. Other times, if you don't have it based on a theme, you can pick something like a special tactic or how the main deck runs. Then there are 5 types of decks. There is aggro, which is you smack everything, everything burns, everything dies, everyone's getting hit by something. That's like normally my favorite. Then there's control, which is lockdown, denial, removal, killing, all those kind of things. Those tend to be played by black or blue characters or black-blue decks. Then there's mid-range, which is a new one that has come out, and that's actually what they would categorize, I believe, this Sun Wukong deck as it is a variation of mid-range, it's a variation of control and aggro, and that's what they gave the name for it, because it can do both for varying different abilities. Either they can swarm a lot and they control you that way, or they don't throw out a lot, but they can control you and then throw out a beater. There is mana ramp, i.e. Wheel ramp or wheelstone ramp in this game, which is just a deck that just gets a lot of wheel and mana and stuff, so they can cast all these things and it just floods you. And then there's just combo decks where they have a certain combo that if they get them off, they win. So that's the first step. And once you figure that out, the next step after that is determining how much each card you want. And depending on how many cards you want in the deck is how likely you'll get the cards, unless you have fetch lands or search cards or something along those values. So 4 is the max amount you can have in this game, and that's a playset. And thus, if you have playset of it, you want the highest chance you can to get those cards. 3 is 1 less, and the reason you will go with 3 is if you want that card to have a presence in your deck, but you don't want to run into that card as often as your other cards. Thus, you usually will go 3 if you want a resonator or a chant to be in there, but you don't want to draw that resonator chant all the time. You don't want to double up on those. While the 4 cards, you don't mind drawing into them every single time. So that'll be your Ruka eggs, that'll be your Guinevere's, that'll be anything along those lines that you just want as many as possible so they can flood the field or get whatever effect you want. 2 is when you just need to have the card in the deck, and then 1 is only if you don't want to run into it ever, but you can fetch it out. So after all that, you just simply test it, and that's step 3. Testing it just comes from, dry running it, where you flip up the cards, see what you get in your first hand. If you don't have a 1 drop, you might want to adjust the numbers, or you just go hang out with a friend, go back and forth, maybe even make them play the same deck to see what things you have and what strengths and weaknesses it might have, even going against each other. Because mirror matches, I'll tell you, mirror matches are something else. Alright, so now that we've done that, we'll go through our entire list and see how exactly that goes. So the first things first is our ruler, which is Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong, it was the Monkey King born from stone who flips into Sun Wukong. He has the ability on his ruler side to call a flying cloud for 1 green. Now what this normally does is it allows you to fetch your additions, which creates your ruler and any of its like wind resonators to a stronger position, because it gives them both flying and +2/+2 or +200/+200. It only affects winds. it works well because on his J ruler side, he gains +2, +200, +200 if they are not attached. He is 1,000, which is a pretty good number. And when he comes in, he can fetch both a Xiao Jing and a Zhu Baizhe, as well as pay 0. So if someone like Gil Lapis tries to stop you, it doesn't do anything. Play 0 to put a Flying Cloud into play, not to play it, to put a Flying Cloud into play. So if Gil Lapis wants to try to stop you, you can in response throw more in and he can't do anything. And along with that, since it costs 0, you want to get as many as you can, and then throw them all out. Preferably all 4, but you know you might be a little cognizant. You might not want to throw all 4 because they might have addition destruction. With those, you have 1, so that's your ruler. You basically use his fetch to do it either before you draw if you don't want to draw into it, or after you draw if you don't want to ruin your draw luck. And not only does that get you more cards out of deck, you're effectively always getting a card out or extra draw. It is also making it where you're getting the things you need and is shuffling your deck if you feel that you aren't getting the cards you should be getting. Now we'll go on to his resonators. We have Xiao Jing, who is a 8/7, 8 strength, 7 weakness, who increases all the chants, and that's chants plural, so chant instance, chant standby, chant everything, by 1. So effectively, once you drop this resonator, your opponent is playing a 1-up game, while all your combos will only cost. They cost 1 more. I put 4 of those in my deck because I want to get the draw for it. I want to get them for when I draw into them for my other cards. I want to get it because then I'm stopping my opponent from doing things like Black Moon Beams and all that kind of stuff. And then basically I could use it to fetch him. If I for some reason don't get him, I could just Judgment some Wukong and fetch him from out of my deck and then drop him that turn, assuming I mana ramped. Our next one is Zhu Baizhe. Zhu Baizhe I have 4 of, and he does a similar thing. He gives your ruler ability, just like Xiao Jing. Xiao Jing is precision, his is swiftness, and +2/+2. And not only that, he makes it where regalia and additions now cost 1 more. So all those 0 cost regalia now cost your opponent 1, and all those additions before they would drop for 1 now cost 2. It really upsets the balance that other decks have, especially chant, regalia, and addition heavy decks. It makes them have to think about what they're dropping before they can even do it. Then going along with that, we're gonna have 4 Tama of the Holy Wind, familiar of the Holy Winds. Tama is there to give a couple of things. Tama is a resonator, so if I end up going against another Wukong, I don't get screwed to try to do damage to someone and draw while actually having a body out that I can always pop for 200. Tama gives you a draw and you can banish it for 200 damage. So sometimes you might go into attack phase and they have a blocker in the way that's really annoying, and you know you can't kill it quite with more than 1 creature. So instead of blocking and losing 2 big creatures, you attack with a big creature and you do damage to it, and then you pop with Tama and then it's gone. You don't even have to worry about it, especially if it's quick, something like first strike or whatever, so you have to worry about that. And then we go into 2 Heavenly Gusts. You want to have Heavenly Gusts because your opponents not only don't want to pay 1 for their regalia or their additions or their chants. You want to make sure you punish them for having Ruler's Memorias in their stone deck. If they drop those regalia early, especially if they're Iron Mist bows and they depend on them to stop you from killing them or anything along those lines, you get rid of them. You don't want them to be there. You want them not to be able to pay for them when they come back out because they cost 0 and they can only drop it on turn. You put a Zhu Baizhe out, that 0 becomes a 1. And if you're really lucky or really annoying, you hit them with a counter and makes them pay more, and then they can't do it anymore. Alright, then we go to our other myth, which I love, Red Boy. We have 2 Red Boys, and Red Boy is a bomb in this deck. He is also a smacker, a beater, but he's a bomb. His main idea is to come in, and since I have green and red, he does at least 700 damage to everything. So if I'm going against a feasting or someone who likes to swarm with a whole bunch of stuff, I drop Red Boy. Not only is he a 14/14 with first strike, which means when he attacks, something's going to die, but if he blocks, he's usually not going to die. And when he comes in, he's going to kill everything. And this combos really well into these other cards I have specific for this deck, and that is Twofold Chant. Twofold Chant is a new card from the CFC, Curse of the Frozen Casket, if you didn't know that. That makes it where if the opponent doesn't pay 1, like Wall of Wind, they cancel the effect. But if you cast this spell after casting another spell, i.e. throwing in Red Boy or anything like that, it just cancels the effect. So what happens is if I drop this and they drop like Down the Drain or something, I can Twofold Chant right after dropping Red Boy, cancels it out. They can't Down the Drain because they probably used up all their will to cast that, and then he gets to go through and just smash everything as he should. It's a really good counter, and with your opponent always paying 1 more for everything, depending on how you set it up, it pretty much guarantees that they cannot get anything they want out. Or if they do want to get something out, you end up ahead because they no longer have any will to cast anything else. This is a big one too, especially with her errata Melfi, also known as Sorceress of the Holy Wind. And Melfi with the new errata makes it where she can make it where an opponent does not do damage. A J Resonator just does no damage. So anyone that has an effect, a God Arts, or anything like that that does lots of damage or hurts something or anything along those lines, she stops that. As long as she's the second card play, which checks during the chase, you can not only drop her, normally you drop her first, and then chase her with a Torrent, getting 2 abilities, both her effect and the Torrent ability, into play, but she gives you every mana, and so I have 3 of her. The next is Little Red Riding Hood. Red Riding Hood. Ooh, sorry, her name changed. So Red Riding Hood is in this deck, and I have 2 of her. She is in the deck for 2 reasons. 1, because this deck likes to fetch lands and stones really quickly. It burns them up real fast, so when she eventually comes out, or if she comes out early, she has 7 stones, so she's a 7/7 who has swiftness, first strike, and precision. I mean, she comes out and she just basically kills something. You use her to get rid of a threat that you know you don't want to deal with, or you force the opponent to block her. And if she dies, that's fine because you ramp into more stones. So next turn, you get to do more things. If you use her early, usually you use her to suicide or get the free damage in because people don't want to let her keep swinging and killing you, or people don't want to let her stay on the field too long, so they kill her and you get a stone. I have 2 on her specifically for that. If I draw her early, I'll throw her out and then swing until she dies. If I don't, I'll throw her out and she'll be an OTK with 2 Red Riding Hoods or something along those lines. Of course, we have 3 Magic Stone Analysis. Magic Stone Analysis is a very, very good card. So what it does is it makes it where you can get stones, especially your first round if you get one of these and you go second. It ensures that you get the stones you need. So if you're in to get all your green and you didn't get any of your red, you can use this to get one of your reds. Or you have cards in your hand that are red, you can use those to get your red stones. Or you can use it to mana ramp early, get 2 stones before they even have their second, and you'll have like 3 stones before they even get theirs. And then you use that to chase another ability and have the stones to keep going, because no matter what, the stone doesn't come in rested, so you can always do it again and again and again. Drop something like a Tama or anything along those lines. Alright, we have Flying Clouds, which of course give +2/+2 in flying to wind resonators, can be fetched by our J Ruler and thrown into play. Usually you use it, put on your resonators, it works out fine. It makes it where they not only get over your opponent because they can allow them to fly. A lot of people don't have things to fly except for feasting, which you then get rid of with Holy Wind, Heavenly Wind. It makes it where they're tougher, so they can't get burned out without significant use of chance or abilities, which then they have to pay more for, so they can never quite get them off like they should. All right, this is another one, and I have 2 of these in here, and of course I have 4 flying clouds. Tiger charges, 2 tiger charges, and they're specifically in there for 2 reasons. There's a quick cast for 1, and it's 1 red, and it makes it where you get first strike and plus 400 to attack. That makes it where if an opponent believes that they can block and get rid of, like when your Xiaowu Jings, you know, they block with Titania or something like that, you can punish them by killing off their Titania or killing off whatever their big creature is. Or if they allow it through, you can punish them by pumping your creature, doing 4 more damage than they expected, and then making where they get closer and closer to lethal. It's very dangerous, and it combos well with all your other quick casts that have Torrent or other such abilities, because it is a 1 cost and it's a 1 red. So you run into those times you have red and green, you can now pay for it and know that you get a quick cast in there. You can do it defensively so that you can get a Torrent ability off like Heavenly Gust or Twofold Chant, so it works out fine. Then of course we have our standard mana dork known as Sacred Elf. Sacred Elf gives you a wind, and thus that works out fine because his 1 wind is more mana ramp. She's a 2/3, and you know, she won't immediately die from something doing like 200 damage to her or anything like that. Then we have, of course, Secluded Elven Village, Amonsville. Amonsville is a addition that effectively, it doesn't do anything for your elves. That's not what you want it for. I mean, it helps your elves out and gives them plus 200 to their defense, making them have a bigger booty. But the main reason you have it is so that if when your opponent has lots of flying creatures, things like your red boy, your Tama, your elves and all of them, they can block. And this causes the opponent to be really screwed over. No more can they Dreams of Flight to get over you. No more can fairies just plague your entire village with their antics. You don't care about any of that. You can stop all that. And not only that, is that after you attack with a vulnerable creature, they cannot attack them because they all have flying. So as long as they have flying, they can't attack your creatures. And even if they do have flying, you can block your creatures. So it works out fine. I have 2 of those in the deck. Along with that, I have 2 Fairy Tale Library Alexandrias. Now this is the main scary combo with this deck. With this particular card, I can make it where my myths all have swiftness, because it gives them swiftness. I have 2 of them. But I can always choose, especially if I see my opponent is thinking about stopping my myths, I can choose elves, or I can choose fairy tales, so that they come in swift. And since I have 2 of them, they can't get rid of them, why not do both? Then they can't stop it. It makes it where someone like Red Boy comes out, he burns the field for upwards of 1,000 and then swings for 1,400. That's just scary alone by itself. It makes it where I can throw in my 2 myths with my son Wukong. We all have swiftness and I can OTK people. It's a very good card. It's only a 2 cost, and I see no reason why not have it. Now this is one I added in to give my deck not only more draw power, but give it something to do just in case I draw my clouds much earlier than I wanted to, and thus, you know, everything else is fine and dandy. And it's called Whispers from the Wind, and it came from CFC, and it allows you to not only draw cards but pay 1 less for that card, 1 green less actually. So you can end up getting really lucky, and I've had it happen, really lucky, and drawing into a Magic Stone analysis. And then because that Magic Stone analysis is something you have in your hand, it only costs 1 green and it gets you a stone, so you ramp up way faster than you're supposed to. And it's only the next card, but it's just way faster than it's supposed to. Now we go to our sideboard. Now talking about sideboard, with no surprise, I like to sideboard a ruler, and the ruler particularly is called Feasting, and I call it surprise feasting because the deck works really well with this ruler. I use this when I know my opponent likes to have Black Moonbeams, or they just realized or got taken out by Wukong, so they side deck all these things to stop him, and all of a sudden this elf is out, and I don't J-rule her usually, so she just sits back and throws all these tokens. So now they don't have quite availability or the ability to kill anything, and they have black moonbeams in their hand, wasting their time away or whatever because they can't do anything with them because I'm not popping my ruler, which is just not good for them at all. It's something they can't stop, something they can't do. And since black moonbeam can't be chased, you know, that sucks generally for me if I were to get caught. The next two cards I have are two Tiger Lilies, tribal princesses. Tiger Lily is not only a fairy tale, just like our friend Red Riding Hood, but she hits things for twice as much damage as she has attack. And with a combination of her and Tiger Charge, which I already have in my deck, I can Fairy Tale Library Alexandria Fairy Tales, drop her out. She has haste or swiftness. Hit her with Tiger Charge. If there's anything big on the field that I just don't want to be there, I just smash it for 1800 and it's gone. And then all the rest of my actual big things can get through. I didn't waste anything, I didn't lose anything, and then I, you know, OTK them, or I do massive amounts of damage. Basically make sure my thing goes off. And if for some reason, of course, they have some counter, then that sets up for twofold chant counters early game. I put in one more in my side deck, Melfi, just in case I'm not drawing my Melfis too much. Very rarely does this happen, but if it does, I will side deck one into to increase the chances of me getting it, especially with her new ability working the way it does. I sideboard one more Heavenly Gust because sometimes you have opponents who have a little bit more additions and regalia than you want to deal with, and thus it makes it where I can just increase the draw rate of them. Sometimes, you know, I might get in situations where I go against a control deck and they make me discard one or two of my Heavenly Gust. So this makes sure I just have more of them just in case they want to do that again, so I can get rid of regalia. This is a really simple one, Vampire Hunter Christie. If I'm going to have feasting, I'm going to put in Vampire Hunter Christie, and I might just trade her out for a Red Boy or whatever other resonators I have, or something I just feel I'm not getting. For example, I might trade out a couple of Jews if I know my opponent's not using additions or really any like regalia. I'll trade out one or two Jews to make sure I get Christies, get two more Christies in here. I have Arya the Friendly Vampire. Arya the Friendly Vampire is one of those ones where she's a 3-drop, so I would either trade her out for some of the myths, or I'll trade her out for some of the counters that I might not need. She's a 3-drop, and she makes everything stronger, and especially if I'm going against black, it makes it where she's invincible to black, because she can't be targeted by them just constantly. I have two more twofold chants, just in case I need to have even more counters, and I'm not getting my counters enough, or I feel like I'm not doing them enough. I'll side deck two more, so I have 4 in my main deck, and I'll take 2 things out to trade those up. And last but not least, I have 2 Walls of Wind. Now, Wall of Wind is pretty much the only card from one of the older sets, but it's such a good card with twofold chant, Shao Wu Jing, and Zhu Bai Jie. Wall of Wind makes it where that extra 1 can be what stops them. I can Wall of Wind first turn because I go second. Any combination of things like that, it just works out really well. So I hope you all enjoyed the time here. I just described the deck. This is a Sun Wukong Myths. Go out and play it. It's not unbeatable. I've noticed that I have problems sometimes with like aggro if I don't get the right hand, but you always just learn the mulligan. And that's the thing about this deck. The deck is very, very versatile, but it's based on how you go about changing your hands and searching your clouds and any combination of the intricacies of the deck, because the deck can draw what it wants. The deck can cycle faster. The deck can get other cards faster. The deck can drop big bombs, but you have to make sure you adjust for your playstyle versus your opponent. If your opponent likes to discard things a lot, oh, just don't draw as many resonators, or make it where you don't draw that many resonators, or get ready to judgment quit so you can get outshot and he can't pop you for, Black Moonbeam or anything like that. You have to adjust it, get the clouds. So don't get as many clouds if he likes to have addition, destruction, hand destruction, or anything like that. It's it's a thing. I hope you enjoyed your time here, and may the Zen be with you. 3 invitationals to the Nationals, and I was rewarded with 9